The new 8 o'clock on CNN. Parker Spitzer, weeknights on CNN.
So just how close were we to war?
Well, we were very close. When I got there, the North Koreans were saying to me they were going to retaliate immensely. The tension was very high. It was a tinderbox. And I said to them, look, this is the worst you can do if you retaliate. This is a chance for you to be statesmanlike for a change, which you haven't been lately. And it's important that you also look at some arms control measures that I had proposed, more IAEA inspectors, sell your spent fuel rods, a hotline. And I think they've turned the corner a little bit, recognizing they've got to be more pragmatic.
Yeah, what's fascinating is that what you're suggesting is that they responded to your, not only your magic words and your brilliant oratorical skills, but the rationale of what you were suggesting. And so would that lead one to believe that the North Koreans really are rational players here and that everything they've done until now is part of a concerted strategy to get to this result?
No, Elliot, you know, they're very unpredictable. You don't know what they're going to do next. That's something I've learned dealing with them the last 7 years. They're going through a leadership issue right now with the youngest son of Kim Jong-il probably being groomed to take over. So I think a lot of their recent actions that have been terrible, like the sinking of the ship, the killing of civilians, increased uranium activity, have been sort of internal shows of force. Look, I'm not taking credit for toning them down, and I do think that my visit was timely, that we had an impact, that they responded, especially their military person that I talked to, the top military and the top nuclear negotiator, was, look, you guys, if you want negotiations with the 6-party countries, if you want to have some assistance in the areas of food, your people are in very bad shape, energy assistance, you want sanctions lifted eventually, you can't keep acting like this. And one way that you can send a signal to the international community is take some arms control measures, but don't retaliate. This is a drill by the South Koreans. It's their legitimate self-defense. It's going to be a routine drill. Stop all this rhetoric and act like international players and international community. And I believe they responded, and things have cooled down a bit, but it's still a tinderbox out there.
Well, you know, you say that you think your visit there was timely, and we would agree with that. In fact, we think it was so timely that we'd like to see you permanently stationed in North Korea to stave off these problems when they arise. Can you tell us a little bit about what the meetings were like? I mean, what did the environment feel like? Were you ever scared? I mean, how did that feel to you?
Well, they are the North Koreans. We met with military officials, foreign ministry officials, the vice president of the country. They all start out giving their speech, their propaganda speech, that the U.S. and South Korea are the sources of all evil, that they're not irresponsible people, that they really didn't shoot that ship down. And after that is done, which is obligatory because they've got a lot of people from their audience listening to them, we get into serious stuff. And in the past, when I've been there, they keep this dogma up. You get some concessions from them. But this time they were listening, and they were in a mood, I believe, where they felt, look, we've gone too far into the precipice of being totally isolated. No one's talking to us. No one's giving us any credit. Maybe we're going to change. I think that's why they invited me there. I didn't go there to vacation. I was invited by their chief nuclear negotiator. I didn't. The Obama administration had asked me twice before not to go in the past when things were really, really hot, and I didn't. But this time they kind of said okay, and I went totally unofficially. I'm not representing them, and I believe we did some good.
Well, let me ask you, you referred to the critical terms of the agreement you did get the North Koreans to agree to, the IAEA inspectors and the sale of the rods to presumably South Korea and the hotline. What do you take away from that in terms of what North Korea will do with its nuclear program, which has obviously been the major point of contention between them and certainly the United States?
This hotline, which is so obviously needed between North and South Korea, and maybe a commission of the U.S. military commission, North Korea and South Korea, to tour those disputed areas in the Western Sea to just avert these kind of disasters. They're sending a signal that they're ready to re-engage, but I think the United States and other countries, we should say, all right, guys, let's verify before we trust you. And but at least they're sending a signal that we're not going to be isolated much longer. We're ready to re-engage. Now, who's going to make the next move? And that's good, because the tension has decreased dramatically, but it's still a tinderbox, and we've got to be guided by very careful diplomacy.
Governor, can you explain what the hotline is and how that works exactly?
What it is, Kathleen, is simply a telephone system between the top leadership of North and South Korea. They have actually put forth these proposals before, but they never happen. It's sort of like the old hotline between us and the Russians in case there was some kind of nuclear altercation. This is at the highest levels. This is preventive measures that could be taken, a communication system that doesn't exist. You got to understand that the United States and South Korea, we haven't been talking to the North Koreans hardly at all for the past year, like zero. And so when you don't talk, and especially our militaries, and you have these drills on both sides, the possibility of miscalculation is huge.